11 days, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh got the celebrity treatment, posing for pictures with friends and supporters wherever he stopped. Of course, that was in Ireland, where Walsh recently spent 11 days connecting with relatives and talking trade opportunities with local officials. Now that he's back in Boston, Marty Walsh has to be resigned to being just mayor again, although that's not too shabby either. So he joins us now to discuss his trip and many other things. Welcome back to Boston, Marty Walsh.
Thank you. Some great pictures on there.
They're very cute. So.
Yeah.
Back home, we were reading all the stories, and it sounded like they were making it sound like you were the second coming of JFK.
Oh my God.
Was it that big?
Everywhere I went, they were quoting JFK's speech when he left Ireland and came to Boston. When he was leaving Ireland, coming over to Boston. No, it was incredible. I mean, the villages that my mother and father are from are small little villages in Connemara. And they had an event one night where 1,000 people showed up. And they were just so excited to be there. And there was a lot of hype during the race for mayor. The Irish papers covered it pretty closely. So a lot of people knew what was going on in Ireland. And when I went over, they were very, very excited.
So was there a bigger mission? Was there some trade opportunities?
We did a lot of good stuff over there. We did, there was about 4 days back in Connemara with the family. And then we went to Galway and up to Donegal, over to Derry, up to Belfast, and over to Dublin, and we did a lot of connecting with elected officials and also talking to business leaders. And it's interesting because in Ireland and in the north, there's a lot of discussion around mayors doing more, just like it's happening here. Less dependent upon the national government, and a lot of complaining about how slow it's going, and really using mayors as a better way of communication. So it's a lot of comparisons, and we made some good connections. I went to Primark in Dublin. They're the company that's moving into Boston, and I saw the whole operation. There's companies in Ireland employ about 130,000 people in America. So it really shows you that it's a two-way global economy, the Irish economy and the American economy.
So back home, here are some realities have struck. There's so much attention on Ebola, of course. Thousands of people in Africa have already died of it. And there's renewed attention now here at the BU Biolab, because that's one of the viruses, one of the diseases they're going to be looking at. They're almost ready to get going. Do you have any concerns at all? I know the neighborhood still has some.
Well, I know the neighborhood's concerned about the lab, but when you think about Ebola, it's important for us to have research on it to see how we can come up with some cures. I mean, the Public Health Commission had a press conference about a month ago to talk about the potential scare of Ebola here in this country, and we've had a couple of instances now where Ebola is here in the country, and really being prepared for it. And unfortunately, these labs aren't good, and I know people watch tonight and say, you shouldn't be for it. But we have to do studying on it, and we have to make sure that we look for a cure and a treatment. A lot of the diseases that are happening around the world, we can see them happen here in the United States, so we have to be prepared for that.
The mayor you succeeded, Tom Menino, has a new book out. I was wondering if you've had a chance to look at it. So I think it's actually officially coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's officially coming out, I think, on the 14th.
Yeah, the 14th.
Yeah, but there's bits, I've seen bits and pieces about it. I haven't read the whole book. It's interesting what I've seen of it so far. A lot of it's just been what I'm reading in the paper and some of the articles that the journalists have been writing about it. I'm looking forward to seeing the book and seeing what his perspective was as being mayor. Certainly to see if I can pick any tips up as far as how he lasted 20 years and he had a lot of good success. Well,
one of his quotes was about keeping fear alive, and I mean he meant that in kind of a colloquial way, but I mean, how do you respond to that statement?
I operate completely differently. I don't think you have to govern by fear. I think you can govern by sitting and talking to people and compromise. I don't know if the fear factor works. I think I've been in politics now for 17 years. I've seen all kinds of different elected officials govern in different styles and different ways, and I don't think you necessarily need fear to govern. I think if you're a good, effective leader, you'll earn the respect of people.
On the other hand, I mean, he never had voicemail or email or any of those things, and I think he meant it in terms of you had to confront things.
Oh no, and he definitely meant that. And I make sure when we talk to our city departments that I want people to be their phone calls returned. I want to make sure that everyone gets the response, the proper response they're supposed to get. I think it's important also, though, to have voicemail and computers and stuff like that. You're talking about a whole new age, a whole new technology. I have more the iPad and the iPhone and all the other stuff. But it's important to stay connected, and we're reaching out to a whole demographic of young people that never got engaged in politics before or in civic life, and we're trying to reach out to them as well because it's as much their city as other people's city.
We've been having so much discussion about possibly bringing the Olympics here to Boston. I was reading an article today. Norway, Oslo, Norway pulled out of the 2022 Winter Olympics, and I at first didn't believe it. I said, this can't be right. some of the reasons why they pulled out, and it had to do with the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, demands, including things like that they have their own roadway, own road that no one uses except them.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's not going to happen in Boston. I mean, so we don't have enough roads to do that. You know, we're exploring the opportunity. First of all, I'm not going to mortgage the city when it comes to the Olympics, but I think it's an interesting idea of what does it mean long term for the city of Boston? Not necessarily the Olympics, but what's the long term benefits of having the Olympics? I think we have an opportunity to upgrade our transportational system. We have an opportunity to upgrade a lot of different things in the city of Boston, hopefully with some money, some private development money. Again, we're a long way off on it, and we're still in the process of talking to a whole bunch of different people on it. I think the demands of the USOC and the IOC are very different, and as we go down that road, depending upon if we get chosen to move on, we will have negotiation with them to see how much we're willing to work with them on.
One of the demands is you have to meet them on the tarmac and smile.
Yeah, well, we can probably do that. If they give us enough money, we can do that.
Are you enthusiastic about it, though?
I think it's an interesting opportunity. I think it's something that we have to look at. You know, Boston is unique and uniquely placed down in the world. It gives us the opportunity to market our city around the world, and you know, we are in those discussions anyway. And I think that if there's a benefit, I think the value is what's the legacy benefit, and I don't mean by my legacy. What's Boston's legacy? How can we? Because we have to create housing for it. We have to create better infrastructure for it. We have to look at a whole bunch of venues. So we have an opportunity to really upgrade a lot of facilities in the city of Boston, both for the Olympics and then long term after.
You met with the U.S. Olympic
Yeah, I was in Colorado Springs. We had a good meeting. It was 4 cities, us and San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. And it's interesting just seeing and sitting at a table with all the other leaders of those cities and how they look at this stuff and how they respond. And you know, whether or not we get the Olympics, we shape up pretty well against a lot of major cities.
Did you think the bid looked pretty good?
Yeah, I think we're as strong as anybody. And just the fact of putting it together and what we had, who we had in the room, I thought it was pretty impressive for a city of our size. And you know, we're going to look to see where we go. We'll know in the next couple of months.
You might have been in Ireland when this report came out. It was actually broken by Brian Ross of ABC News, but basically saying that Boston is a potential birthing place for American terrorists, for terrorists, you know, from whatever denomination. Did you have any advance warning of that, and do you believe it?
No, we do. I talk to the commissioner every morning. We talk about a whole host of issues, and we have a special ops inside of the police department looking at terrorism, in particular what's happening around the world and what could be happening in our own city. And it's something, you know, we have to be very diligent on. You know, we never expected in Boston to be attacked, and we were internally on Marathon Monday. It's something that, you know, I talk an awful lot with the commissioner about, just because we have subways and roadways and tunnels, and so we have to be diligent now. The world's a different place today, and you know, as much as we work on community policing, we have to look at the terrorism too, and anti-terrorism. We have the BRIC that we run. Every 6 months we run a different program to see how we are around terrorist activity. So it's something that, you know, mayors of 20 years ago didn't have to worry about.
But did it make sense to you that Boston would be a hub for that?
I think that any major city, I mean, Boston is one of those that's on the forefront. We have a major airport here, international. We have a lot of international flights coming in and out of Boston. We have a lot of students that are here in Boston, a lot of international students that are here in Boston. I think that some people will look at Boston and say that might be one of the places that would potentially be a place. I don't think we are, but in saying that, we also have to be very diligent and be very careful of what's happening.
Speaking of the police department, I mean, Police Commissioner Evans has said the same thing that police commissioners before have said, but you know, wants to step up community policing, but there's still the matter of distrust in communities of color and getting people. I mean, you know, there's a lot of been reporting recently about unsolved murders, unsolved crime, even if some of that is down. How do you break through that? Mayor Menino tried it too. We're
working very hard. I mean, we started at the beginning of the year with the command staff of making sure the command staff reflects the city of Boston, in which we have done that. We're working on promotions and how do we promote more captains of color and lieutenants of color and sergeants of color. I think that's another way of doing it, to get people in the leadership of the police department. I think there's some lessons to be learned from Ferguson, what happened in Ferguson, and thank God that hasn't happened here. And you know, we want to make sure that doesn't happen here. So we're out working hard. in the community with the community policing. The unsolved murders go back 20 years. It's difficult. You know, a lot of those murders are gang activity murders, and people are afraid to talk. And you know, we're working now to try and get more and more information out of people so they can step up and speak up about what happened. I mean, we need help, cooperation from the community as well, but we're trying to do our best to get right on top of it right away. You know, again, it's a day-at-a-time issue that we're working on, and I think we've done a good job in the city of Boston, but do we have more to go? Absolutely we do. I mean, nobody's perfect, but we're going to try and continue to make it the best police department we can, and the most understanding police department.
I found that one neighborhood issue, and that is the cutting of the curbs. Going on all over Beacon Hill, the Back Bay, putting in more handicapped accessible. I mean, it's a mess because sometimes they're doing 4 street corners at the same. There's not even any place to cross the street in certain areas. So it's city money, but you say you're able to pay for it because you saved so much.
Yeah, we're able to save some money on trash contracts. We've readjusted the way public works. You must have saved
millions.
We've saved, I think it was about $1.5 million we saved, and we're able to try and get more work out there. We're trying to do more streets over if we can. Right now, we're in the process of assessing all our streets, doing an assessment of every street in the city of Boston to see where we need help, whether it's new streets, new curbing, new sidewalks, new trees, trash. We actually have an Office of Neighborhood Services going out. We're doing an audit of the entire city of Boston on their phones, and we're moving along the city so we can come back and look and do an assessment and see where we have to fix our streets. A lot of streets are a mess, a lot of sidewalks are a mess, a lot of curbs are a mess, and we're trying to bring them up to speed in the city of Boston.
All right, they're out there. We can attest to that.
Yeah, no, and they're working hard, and you know, in the Back Bay, a little different situation, or Beacon Hill, I should say. We had a bump in the road there trying to put in the curbs, and you know, I understand the people in Beacon Hill concerned about it, but we're trying to do them tasteful if we can, and with as least concrete as we possibly can. But I don't think they look that bad.
We'll see if the snowplows take out that road.
I was in Ireland last week, and I was in Belfast and Galway, and they have roads that go back 400 or 500 years, and they have yellow strips on them.
Are they yellow? Oh.
Yep. So at least we're doing red.
Red. Yeah. All right. Mayor Marty Walsh, pleasure to have you as always.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.